Assalamu alaikum, dear believers. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala salah. Hayya ala al-falah. Hayya ala al-falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah. Alhamdulillah. نستعينه ونستغفره يؤمن به وأجله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى أهله وعلى صحبه أجمعين أما بعد أيها المسلمون. Surely we praise Allah, we seek His assistance, forgiveness, mighty and sublime is He. We bear witness there is no God but Allah, and we bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. May the prayers and peace be upon him, upon his family, upon his companions, upon the righteous all. Dear believers, we greet you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We praise Allah and we thank Him for blessing us to be present for another day of the Jumu'ah prayer. This is a great time for us to be together as community, to hear His words, to reflect on His wisdom, to be together as community. And our theme today, dear believers, is Allah is with the patient. Allah is with the patient. And we must be grateful for the opportunity to be present. We know we're going through difficult days in the recent times with losing our dear Imam Khalil Akbar. May Allah have mercy on him, forgive him his sins, and grant him paradise, as well as our brother Clarence. May Allah have mercy on him, grant him forgiveness and paradise. It's a difficult time for us as a community. But we're not alone. There's communities all around the country who are losing loved ones. And we also know that there's tensions and tragedies and oppression throughout the Muslim world and the Middle East that we know that's intensifying as we speak. So when we're confronted with these situations, dear believers, we must know that Allah is with the patient. And we must remember Allah is always in control. He's in control of every second of our lives, even when we don't think about it. He's in control. And I advise you, dear believers, as I advise myself, that these are the times that we must stick close to the Quran, close to our deen, and close to each other in many ways. Only Allah can guide us during these times. We can help each other with advice, counsel, friendship, But Allah is the one that we rely on, and He's the one that can guide us through any type of difficulty. Listen to what He tells us in the Quran. He says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu asta'inu bis sabri was salat inna Allaha ma'as sabirin. It says, O believers, seek help with patience and prayer. Allah is truly with those who are patient. And we know, looking at the beautiful language of the Quran, Allah is getting our attention first. He said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, those who were called to faith. And again, we take this for granted. We hear this over and over again, but amanu is not just, you don't just wake up with amanu. Faith is something that is given to you as a blessing of Allah's ni'mah. Yes, we all are born ala fitra, on the fitra. But at some point in our lives, some of us answer the call of faith. And it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that calls us that. We can't pay you to be faithful. You can't give somebody $1 million to wake up and have faith. The ones who have faith are the ones who are called by their Creator, and they answer the call, and we have to be, don't take that for granted. Allah guides who He wills. The next, He gives us a command. He says, Asta'inu, seek help. But He doesn't just say it to the individual. This is a command to the whole group. This is telling every one of us in the room that we must do something all together, seek help. Not half of us, not two of us. All of us must seek this help. And it's the help of ana. Nasta'in, it's a special kind of help. We can help each other in life, dear believers. There's different Quranic terms for help. Nasru, different things that we hear. But this type of term where Allah says, Nasta'inu, this is a different type of help. Only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give us the divine help we need. When we're dealing with tragedy, calamity, things that are beyond our control, this particular help that Allah is describing in this command only comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And think, we actually use this help 17 times a day in our prayer. We say, Iyaka na'abudu wa iyaka nasta'in. The same term. Only you do we worship, and only you do we seek help. We got to think about that. In fact, think about Allah puts worship first. He says worship is first, the help is second. But we got to think about Allah. We say this in our prayer, regardless of the situation, 17 times a day. We're seeking, we're saying only Allah do we worship, and only Allah do we seek help. So you can have the greatest day. You could have just inherited $1 billion. You're still saying this in your prayer, seeking help. You could have gotten promoted. You could be getting married. And all of the highs that we describe in life, we are still seeking Allah's help. And all of the lows that we experience in life, tragedy, loss of life, loss of wealth, personal challenges. And we don't add anything to the verse, either situation. We don't add more when we have great days. We don't take anything away when we're challenged. Allah knew we would experience highs and lows in this life and reminds us of what we need to do. He gives us a formula in the ayat we just read. The formula is the people of faith first. The formula won't work without faith. It says, O ye who believe, estainod. So the first thing is you have faith, and then you seek help. As my dad often would tell me, he's like, son, you gotta just take it to the rug. That's a phrase. I don't know if it's a personal phrase, a family phrase, or just a community phrase, but we have situations in our lives where the only thing you can do is take it to the rug. Go make 2 rakats. Go make a sajda. Go make dua. But what is the formula? Allah says He doesn't just say seek help. He tells you to do it with 2 things. He says seek help with what? With sabri. Be sabri. You have to do it with patience. But what is sabri? Sabri, we may think of it as just sitting back and doing nothing. Sabri, sometimes it does mean being patient, being steadfast, but it also means being consistent. The Prophet had a tradition where he reported that Allah loves the deeds that are done over and over and over again. And the two dear brothers we mentioned previously, that was a life that they lived. Building community, teaching, helping this masjid and others every single week. So one of the things is sabri. We must figure out what is this sabr, especially during these times where we're confronted with the news issues, family challenges, community challenges. We must figure out who are these people that Allah is describing when he says he is with the sabirin, those who are, and this idea of patience is the noun form. It's describing a state. Like you're a Muslim. Muslim is a state of submission. It's not a verb. It's not like you're running. You could be running now and not running tomorrow. The sabirin are people they're steadfast throughout every single cycle of life. And what does Allah says? He says in the very next verse, we will certainly test you with a touch of fear and famine, loss of property, lives, and crops. But it says, وَبَشِّرِ sabirin, will give good news. We're commanded to give the good news to those who are enduring. And it starts with faith, dear believers. It's describing a people who made it a lifestyle. It means they're waiting on Allah. We can't be a people who are hasty. Hastiness is not a good attribute. It's described in the Quran. Woe to those who are hasty. And this is a time for us to be serious in our faith. It's not a time to panic, but we must get closer to our prayer. In fact, many of us probably have found ourselves in the last couple weeks. When you're standing in prayer, the words actually are really meaning something. Because we don't have all the answers, dear believers. When we lose key members of our community, now you're standing in prayer saying, Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. You are literally asking Allah and telling him, to you worship, and to you only are we going to seek help in these moments. It's almost like the prayer has become alive in our lives. Now we are opening up the Quran and reading it for guidance. It's becoming more illuminated. But this can't just happen when we're dealing with difficulty. This illumination, this vigor of Islam has to be all the time. In fact, it should be even in our Jumu'ah. If we understood just how serious the Friday prayer would be, we would be here hours early. I mean, could you imagine if you were invited somewhere, like they say, hey, you got a trip to the White House or wherever your favorite castle or kingdom or wherever it is, you're going way early. This is the best day and time for us as people of faith. We should be here. We don't have to be here hours early because the law tells us to leave off what we're doing. So we got to be doing something. We're not just sitting home getting ready, are we? We should be doing something. But when the Jumu'ah prayer, when you hear that adhan, you should be rushing to the front row. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, described the person in the front row gets the larger sacrifice. We should want to be in the front row facing the Qibla and listening intently to the Jumu'ah prayer because we don't know if this is going to be our last week. We're not chatting and dapping each other up when we come in. If I'm coming to the masjid and the khutbah started, no conversation. All I want to do is get in and get seated and be and hope for Allah's mercy and forgiveness. Facing the Qibla, we're not selling, we're not doing any of those things. In fact, what we should do, and we talked about it as a team, after the 1:15 adhan, we should all shut our businesses down. Cover up the table, find the come in, make your 2 rakats, because this is serious. We don't know how many of these weeks we have. And we invite more of our young people and older to make Islam a full-time thing. We know it's tough, but we can't have no more part-time Islam. Today I'm a deen, tomorrow I'm not. Today I'm going to make prayer, tomorrow I'm not. Today I'm going to obey the rules of relationships, tomorrow I'm not. We must strive with everything we have, especially when we're challenged, to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for His blessing and His guidance. And our priorities should be clear. Allah gives us a powerful surah, dear believers, that should help us clarify our priorities. Listen to what He tells us. He says, Al-hakamut takathiru hatta zaratumul muqabir. It says the competition for gains diverts you until you visit the grave. And this is a very unique way that the Quranic language is presented to us, because it has the word divert you first. Al-hakamu, first. That's not, you would not describe something like that. You would say the competition diverts you. This is saying divert you. Allah wants you to get your attention that you are being diverted every minute of the day. And what is the diversion for us? The diversion is this takathuru, this trying to accumulate. What are we accumulating, dear believers? We're trying to accumulate wealth. We're trying to accumulate power. We're trying to accumulate influence, titles, likes, subscribers, more of this and more of that. These things are diverting us. But Allah says, until you visit the graves. But when we read this surah, our mind thinks about the person, our loved one that we may have done a janazah for. That's not really the goal, because the Quran is a sign for you and I. But it's reminding us that when we go there to experience that, it should reset us. It should say, wait a second, this is the eventual reality of us, each and every one of us. And in fact, when you go and we gather and we see the large crowds, all of a sudden life gets much clearer. You see people you haven't seen, the love comes back, the closeness comes back. This is a sign. Why do we think that Allah has given us these rituals that we do? The rituals should almost help us clarify our purpose in life. And we should come back and be more focused on not being diverted, not being sidetracked, feeling the love in our religion. And it shouldn't scare us. This is why we have the rituals, dear believer. The rituals should remind us of a higher purpose. And as we close out the first section, dear believers, our theme was Allah is with the patient. This is a time for us to begin to get closer to our religion. We should be trying to read more, study more. In fact, I feel such a great weight to study the religion in a much more intensified way, not necessarily do the events, but we can see that there's a shift happening around the country where we're losing some of our pioneers. And we're not going to allow the years of sacrifice that they've created to allow us to get this far to just be squandered away. So we almost have to serve as vanguards in studying the language of our leader, Imam Warifdeen Muhammad Rahimahullah alayh, and making sure we can transfer that information to others. We went around the room of those in this community, and we know not everybody that attends our Jumu'ah is within this community, and we love and respect that. But if we went around and just asked somebody, give me an example of the Imam's language and how you got there, with any topic, many of us would struggle. We may be able to quote something he said, but that's not the end point. We want people to be able to have the empowered, when you're talking about something, to go through the process of how the Quran shapes your mind and arrives at insight for humanity. And this takes a lot of study and effort. So some of us feel a great obligation to make that commitment to help our community. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. آمين. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Our theme, dear believers, was Allah is with the patient. I just want to mention something that can help us as communities, because this is what we struggle with as community, every community struggles with. Every family struggles with, because the community derives from family. And Imam Ronald mentioned a couple weeks about the love. How do we bring the love back or increase the love? Not that we don't have love. We love each other as community. But how do we increase that? How do we build on that? Listen to this ayah that Allah gives us in the Quran. It's one of the ayahs used during the Jumu'ah prayer from our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It says, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wattaqullah wa qawlan sadidin." It says, "O ye who believe, fear Allah and say a word, qawlan sadidin, say a word that is straightforward or right." But this is the ayah, one of the ayahs that we recite in the marriage is this ayah. And we're telling the couple, we're reminding the couple that they must have faith, they must fear Allah, and they must say a word that is directed straight forth. But have we ever thought about why this is in the Jumu'ah khutbah? Why did our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, why is this one of the 3 verses? Because the husband and wife is at the very foundation of human development. It starts with husband and wife. In fact, when we think of this idea of shura bainahum, we think of mutual consultation, but the first mutual consultation that the Quran describes is the husband and wife. And what is it saying? It is saying that this communication, it first starts with having reverence for Allah. All of our communication between a husband and wife must start with reverence of Allah. That dictates it. So once you believe and you have reverence of your Creator, now this communication, you can be straightforward and easy. From there, that communication extends to the family, husband and wife, son, daughter, brother, sister. But remember, we cannot leave out the principle of taqwa Allah. Think about it. And this is just how we look at the Quran, dear believers. If the husband and wife are commanded in our talk to speak straight forth, we have to go back and say, well, how do you do that with taqwa? So that's saying that even when you're in the courtship of somebody, you need to find out, does this person have taqwa Allah? Does this person have a reverence for the Creator? And if they do it, now I know that I may be able to have an interpersonal dynamic with them through the union of marriage. Because if they don't respect that there is a Creator beyond all of us, then this communication is not going to happen. And then when you look at the larger family, you want to really nourish that reverence for our Creator. So now that we're communicating on the basis of loving Allah first. That's going to make the communication process much easier. And then it extends to the community. And then it extends to the world. You may say, why is it so hard to do this then? I mean, look at it. You got community struggle with this. Husband and wife struggle with this. Nations struggle with this. Political parties struggle with this. But I go back and ask, are these entities that are communicating together, do they have a common reverence for the Creator of the heavens and the earth and the things that He wants us to prioritize? And the question probably becomes challenging then. Because when you take Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of the communication process, things break down. So I said that, dear believers, just to say, we had 2 experiences in the last couple months that really show how this can work beautifully. We were at the Mid-Atlantic Conference in Baltimore. And one of the particular workshops, it was very tense. We maybe had 60, 70 people, all ages. Very intense discussion about community life. Very heated differences. But at the end of the conversation, everybody had a genuine appreciation for each other. Even though there were vast differences, there were strong, passionate views. And in fact, we recently, within the last couple of weeks, as a Strongin School staff, we met as a team here. And we were discussing a Jumu'ah logistical challenge. But the key, and we had different ideas, very passionate. But the love of each other, it overrode the differences, and we came to a better understanding. And these are the type of small things that we can do as community. As communities, we're going to face challenges as we grow and as we transition over the next so many months and years. We must remember, dear believers, to have taqwa Allah. Just reverence Allah. And assume most of us are always acting out of our best intentions, but something happens in the communication. Talk it out. I admonish myself if I admonish you. When you're dealing with any type of interpersonal dynamic, remember what the Prophet's ayah that he recited in the marriage. If it's in the marriage, it is good enough for all of our communication, because that is the root of family. And to say that, I'm saying we need to talk more, exchange more, listen more, reverence Allah more, and love each other more. And these things will give us an advantage in building community. So many communities that don't do this, things don't reach their full potential. So as we close out this talk, let us get closer to our deen. Let us get closer to the Quran. Let us get closer to the example of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as the best character for human excellence. Let us get closer to each other. These greetings that we give, we got to add a little extra to that. When we embrace each other, we have to add a little extra to that. When we differ with each other, we have to look past that. And this will help us to be those who are sabirin. This will help us to be those who are going to not shift with the winds, but stand strong together and have better families, better communities. And may this allow us to give the peace in our hearts and minds. And just the last thought as we close. What gives us peace, dear believers, when we have to see one of our loved ones leave is the work they did on this side. You have to find a way to get busy in Islam. No one's going to send you a private invitation that's going to be masjid such and such. We need you to do such and such. You have to pray that Allah give you the willing spirit to do whatever you can in Islam for wherever you can do it. You don't want to be in the masjid 20, 30, 40 years and you've never volunteered to help out in any capacity. There's so many things. You may say, well, what can I do? Muslim community needs everything. If you're a comedian, we need halal comedians. If you can fix something, build something, teach something, attend something, pay something, whatever Allah's blessed you with, it can be, we need it. So let us take the time we want to honor our loved ones who did the work. Let us get busy. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Ameen. Aqimus Salat will read the announcements after prayer. I don't have it.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي الصلاة حي الصلاة حي الفلاح حي الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Malik Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير مغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين أرأيت الذي يكذب بالدين فذلك الذي يدعو اليتيم ولا يحض على طعام مسكين فويل للمصلين الذين هم عن صلاتهم ساهون الذين هم يراءون ويمنعون ماعون الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام عليكم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله Please, as you leave, please don't forget to donate. Just Cat and Sadaqah. We have Brother Steve, Big Steve outside, who's making dinners. Those dinners will be donated for the benefit of the Akbar family as well as Brother Clarence. So please purchase a dinner on your way out. Please, again, keep our community in dua. We have our Strong in School starting this Sunday. If you have a youth, bring them out to register and we get started in the classes that we're offering. Islam 101 will be starting this Monday at 6:30. Please come out and join that class if you can. Any other announcements?
Vows, number 4. Tomorrow from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock here at the Masjid, Vows presents proper communication before and after marriage. Proper communication before and after marriage, 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock here at Masjid Ash-Shaheed. Also tomorrow from 10:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m., the North Carolina Global Peace and Leadership Summit at the Holiday Inn Express in Raleigh, North Carolina on Tinseltown Drive. Guest speaker Imam Rashad Abdul Rahman. See your email for more information. On Sunday, September 22nd, following Dhuhr Salat, the Muslim American Public Affairs Council, MAPAC, presents a civic engagement workshop to educate and mobilize the Muslim community before the November election and beyond. Imam Siraj Wahaj and Wilmo Siddiqui, inshallah, will be here November 8th and 9th for a fundraiser to raise money for the building of a new Masjid Mu'minun in Statesville, North Carolina. Ta'aleem is Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Islam 101 resumes class Monday, Jumu'ah next Friday. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Sister Valerie has an announcement she'd like to make. Stand by just a minute.
Assalamu alaikum. We're going to have a voters registration table outside, and I have today a sheet. I only have 50. It's an absent ballot deadlines and also registration deadlines and voting deadlines. It's very important. So if you can take one copy and share it with somebody else, we'd appreciate that. Some will be going out there, inshallah. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.